Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Hollywood Rod podcast. As we kick off the new year, we're going to do it the right way with a little motivation. And I'm joined today by Ron A.P. and Ron A.P. is going to tell us a little bit about how he gets his motivation and what sparks him. Plus, his new music, that and much more. Stay locked in.
Yeah, I hope you're ready for the comeback.
All right, we back, guys. What's up? Today, my guest is Ron A.P. Ron, welcome back to the podcast, man.
What's good, man? What's going on?
Oh, man, you sound kind of... Where's the energy, man?
Yo, what's good? What's going on? I sound better now?
There it is. All
right.
So how you been, man? How you been?
I've been good, man. You know, I've just been out here chilling and stuff like that, you know, trying to do my thing and all that, man. You know, I've been out here working on my music and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? I've been working on these ultra marathons, doing that too. You know what I'm saying? Trying to stay in shape out here. You know, trying to get back into acting more, do stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm doing, just got out the military too. Also, by the way, like, so it's just like, you know, I'm making some moves in life right now, right? Like, you know what I'm saying?
All right, we're going to touch on all of that, man. The last time you were on the podcast, we touched on, you know, all the new stuff that you were working on, like some of the music and some of the hobbies that you know, skydiving and all that stuff, man. And, you know, this episode, I kind of want to piggyback off that a little bit. But my question to you, Ron, is what moves your needle, right? So for this episode, I want to kind of concentrate on motivation, right? We all have it, but we just sometimes we either can't find it or we just kind of just let it kind of just sell off a little bit. But sometimes we need to gather our minds sometimes, and we have to kind of sit back and kind of identify what motivates us. So for this episode, we're going to talk about the seed of motivation. And that seed of motivation is something that you talked about on one of your IG stories. So talk to us a little bit about that.
All right. So, I mean, that particular story went back to me being when I was when I first joined the military, like I tried to be Naval Special Warfare. I tried to be a Navy SEAL, didn't make it. I tried to be, Navy SWIC, which are pretty much like the SEAL drivers, didn't make it and stuff like that. Like I just didn't, at the time, I just didn't have like that drive, like, you know what I'm saying, just to do that type of stuff. And, you know, when I was younger, I didn't realize like I didn't have that. Like, you know what I mean? It was sort of like, you know, some people like it depends on where you're at in life where certain things click. And it's just like the universe will guide you where you need to be and whether or not that energy is for you at that time. Right. And so when I talk about like the seeds of motivation, it's like all these people along the way planted these seeds in me that now, you know, later on is actually like starting to blossom. And it's just like, that's where all the major motivation comes from, is those earlier. Right. So right. In particular, that story, the one story where we pretty much got kicked off the boat and they left us out, like, you know what I'm saying? I think it was like a half a mile out, you know what I'm saying? Well, it was a total of like a mile swim, but like a half a mile out, like I'm cramped up and stuff like that. And that one chief is like pretty much like that. What he instilled in me is like, nobody's going to save you. Like, you know what I'm saying? You got to do this on your own. So I guess like I'll give you the story again, right? If you didn't like, or anybody that didn't hear it, like, it's like, so pretty much, we had to do this 1 mile swim when I was in SWIC training, right? And well, I mean, what is
that called again?
SWIC. So it's Special Warfare Combatant Craft Crewman. Okay. And it's pretty much like it's very similar to Navy SEAL training, like Budge training, you know what I'm saying? But it's just for their, like, you know, their drivers and their boat drivers and stuff like that, like those type of people, right? Right. So very similar. So I mean, just as grueling, like, you know what I'm saying? Only thing is, I don't think it's as long. I can't even remember. They didn't change the program up so much since that was what, 11 years ago now since I was there? No, 12? Something like that. It was a while ago, right? Yeah. But I remember, so we're going out on this 1 mile swim. And the thing is that like, you don't just go and just swim, right? Like, depending on what time of the day it is, like depending on what evolution is going to be, first of all, you got to run over to the bay to actually swim, or run over to the beach to swim, depending on where you're at, right? And that can be anywhere from 2 miles to 5 miles, depending on where you're running from. Like, you know what I'm saying? If you're running from the old course, if you're running from the galley, Like, you know what I'm saying? If you're running from the barracks or something like that, it all depends on where you're running from. And that's if they didn't have you do like another evolution, like some stupid PT evolution in between all that stuff, right? So like, you know what I'm saying? So it's not like you just wake up and you're like, oh, we're going to swim 1 mile. Like
Yeah.
you're grinding,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And then by the time
You're already tired, and then you gotta
Yeah.
swim. I mean,
yeah, and you got to swim, right? And one of the things I didn't talk about in the IG story is, so my thing is that I'm a sweater. Like I sweat a lot, right? And so, I mean, you know how it is in Coronado, like California. For some reason, it's always cold there, right? Like during the day, it's nice and, you know, but for some reason, the bay water is cold, the ocean water is cold, everything is cold out there. And they were like, I remember the one instructor at the time was like, well, if Davis is sweating, then we're taking off the wetsuits, right? And everybody looked at me, and here I am sweating, cold as hell, but I'm sweating, right? So they, you know, everybody's like, damn, right? So anyway, we took off our wetsuits or whatever. I had to partner up with the fastest swimmer in the class at the time. The guy's name was Dylan, right? And I was the slowest swimmer. Like I was trash, right? Like I mean, I could always swim, like, but like I was never like a swimmer at the time, like, you know what I'm saying? So we go out, we hit the buoy. The buoy's like a half a mile out, right? And then we hit the buoy, and then like we start to turn around, and I'm cramping up like crazy, right? So like now I just stop at this point. Like I'm just trying to stay afloat. Like, you know what I mean? Dylan's like, yo, what's wrong? What's going on, man? I'm like, yo, I'm cramping up. So here come the instructors, because they see you. They're on the boat. They come up, so he comes up. And so he's like, he's pretty much like, what's wrong with you? And I told him, I'm like, I'm cramping up. I can't do it no more. And long story short, he's like, do you quit or not? And I was like, yeah, I quit. And so one of the other instructors on the boat, and they had like this little pole thing that they use to grab you in to help you get in.
Yeah.
And the chief goes up to the other instructor and takes the pole. And he's like, nah. He's like, no. Like pretty much told us like, nah, you're not quitting today, right? And so I remember, but Dylan was already, he was getting on the boat first at the time, right? And I remember the chief was like, get off my boat, and like took his foot, put it on his head, like kicked him off the boat, right? And then they just drive off, right? Like I don't even know where they went. They're like going back towards the shore, and like he screams out as he's driving off, like, nobody's gonna save you, so save yourself, right? And so it was like, and me and Dylan were out in the middle of the bay looking at each other like, shit, damn, all right, fuck it, right? And so like we just swam back, you know what I'm saying? Like cramped up and all that. But the thing, it taught me 2 valuable lessons that day, right? And it's just like, the only people you got is your team, right? You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, it's me and him out there, right? Like, you know what I mean? And like everybody else has done the swim already. He's with me, the slowest swimmer, right? And he knows that he can't go back by himself, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? So he has to come back with me, you know what I mean? But also it taught me like, you know what I'm saying? Like sometimes you just got to push through like that blockage in your mind, right? Because I mean, even though I was cramped up, right? Like, you know, like I was cramping up like on my side and stuff like that, right? Like it wasn't like my legs. It wasn't my arms, right? It was like my side was really cramping up. Like my neck was cramping up a little bit, right? You know what I mean? And I remember, so like, and you know, then I adjusted my swim style a little bit, like, you know, like combat side stroke, adjusted a little bit. And then it was like, I wasn't cramping up as much. And I still remember that, right? And it's like, sometimes you just got to adjust. But that taught me a very valuable lesson. And so now when I get to this, where I'm at now, it's just like some days I'm tired and stuff like that. Or some days I just don't feel like doing it. And it's just like, especially when it comes to like music and stuff like that, it's like, nobody's going to help me do this, man. So I got to do it myself, right? Nobody's going to motivate me. Nobody, like, I get up in the morning, there's nobody yelling in my ear telling me to go. There's nobody telling me like, get up and do this, man. It's just in my mind, like, nah, you got to go. Let's go. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's an awesome story, man. And I remember you talking about that part about the boat and how they just left you there. But, you know, shout out to Dylan. By the way, shout out to Dylan. He didn't leave you there, you know?
Nah. You want, but hold on, real crazy part is he actually quit. He actually quit, which I thought was crazy as hell, right? Because like he was a faster runner than me, a faster swimmer than me. He was stronger than me and everything, man. But one day he just, it was during brick treads, I remember, man. And like we're treading in the water, right? And it's like, it's supposed to be like 5 minutes. And I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and say it was longer than 5 minutes or shorter than 5 minutes. But when you in the water and you treading with a brick, and me, I'm negative in the water, you don't know if it's truly 5 minutes or more, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. But I remember like, he's in the water, he's treading, and he's like, the crazy part is he's like floating, and then like, he goes under like once or twice and comes back up, and he's like, nope, I can't do it. He drops the brick, lets it fall to the bottom of the pool or whatever, and gets out and was like, nope, I quit, I DOR. And I remember that day, I'm like halfway drowning. And in my mind, like, I'm like, fuck that, yo. I'm not quitting. Like, this is not happening, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I remember because there were so many times that like this was like a couple months after that, right? Like now I'm like, I'm in the middle of the pack running. I'm not in the back anymore. I'm in the middle of the pack swimming. I'm not in the back anymore. Cause like now I'm like building, I can actually see it. And I'm like, hell no, I'm not quitting. I'll die out this motherfucker before I quit today, right? And so like when that I remember that, man, he actually quit that day. And I was like, and a whole lot of people like that like were in our class or whatever. Shout out to Swick Class 692, by the way. Oh no, was that 691? My bad. I got rolled back into 692. Dealing with 691 with me. But a lot of people, they got discouraged by that, right? But me, that gave me like energy. I'm like, oh, this motherfucker quit before me? Hell no. Like you fucked up, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? And watching that, it was just like, I turned just like a Super Saiyan, like, let's go. You know what I'm saying? So that like gave me like that put me on a whole nother level. Like, you know what I mean?
No, definitely. And I feel like that experience, right? You build off of that nowadays, right? So I mean, when you're running or you're doing something that's challenging, I'm pretty sure in the back of your mind, you it kind of replays a little bit, right? It's just like it's there.
Yeah.
So I think that was a significant moment for you that helped you kind of not just, in your time in the military, but in life in general.
Yeah.
So with that, not everybody has these kind of significant moments like you did, right? Not everybody is in the military, right? Not everybody is getting pushed, to their extreme limit where like if they actually go that route, they might actually die. In your case, drown, right? But for some people that maybe like they're not identifying what their seed is, right? Mm-hmm. And they're trying to get to that next level. What do you think is something that someone can do to kind of help you kind of, that just get to that point where you were, right? Because everybody's different. So if you had somebody that just, hey man, like I'm not motivated today, like any advice, what would you tell them?
I mean, I guess it all depends on where you're at in your journey on motivation, right? Like today, like this past week of the year, like I really haven't been motivated, right? But the thing is like when I'm in those moments, especially like now, I'm like, you know what? I can take off this week, you know what I'm saying? But boom, like I set goals for myself, like we're grinding for the next 3 months, no matter what, matter what, right? And so like I'll take the week off and like kind of refresh, right? And then I get back into it. So that's what I can tell people. It all depends on where you're at in your journey. If you're in the beginning, you can't do that. Like, you know what I'm saying? If you're in the beginning of your journey, you can't say, oh, I'm going to take this week off, right? Like, this year, and like I already ran, I don't know how many marathons. Between the half marathon, the fulls, and the ultra marathon, I think I ran six, right?
This past year.
Yeah, this past year, right? So it's like, you know what I mean? So like at the end of the year, like I'm a little burnt out, right? So for you to take and like I said, I'm like, I'll take off this last little week or whatever, you know what I mean? And I'm good. But like I know for the next 3 months, I'm like, I'm grinding no matter what. No matter where I go, no matter what I do, it's happening, right? Like I had a goal set for this year of what I wanted to do. And once I obtained that goal, I was like, all right, cool. And so now next year I have a better goal, a bigger goal. And it's like, this is what we're shooting for. So for anybody who's in the beginning stages, I would say in order for you to be motivated, you got to set a realistic goal, right?
Yeah.
You have to, right? So it's like, let's just say, for example, right? Like one of the things I see is like when I post stuff on Instagram, like me running and stuff like that, like I didn't just wake up one day and just all of a sudden be able to run, you know what I'm saying? A marathon and stuff like that. I mean, I know people try that all the time, right? But like, to be able to do it at the pace that I can do it at, like, sub 8s and 9s, right? Like, I mean, I'm no, like the Olympic athletes and like the guys who are getting paid for, they're running in like 6-minute mile paces, right? But like 8 is still like way higher of a level than, majority of population can do for over a long distance of time, right? But that took years and years and years of building. I've always been a runner, right? It's just this year I started like posting on like my runs and stuff like that, like, and posting on like my exercise journey, right? So it's like, and people are like, oh, well, I want to run 8 miles, and they go run 8 miles and they get hurt. And I'm like, well, you can't just jump to there, right? Like you can't
Yeah, you can't just go in there into it. So,
Yeah,
you
and
know,
I, and I think
I think for the most part, if you're starting something, I think you have to go 120%. Like you got to understand that it's going to be hard the first time around.
yeah,
You can't,
yeah,
if you're trying to get if you're trying to get motivated, what's for me, I think my advice is fail. Like try something that you haven't done before
mm-hmm,
and fail, right? And that's gonna motivate you right there. If
yeah,
it's
yeah,
whether it doesn't matter what it is, like just jump into it. And the moment you fail at something, that's when it's gonna determine like what are you gonna quit or are you gonna keep on going and try
right,
again.
right. Because I mean, you're right, and I say, and I agree with that, but I'll take that one step further. And one of the things is specifically I tell my girlfriend right now too, right? Is like our relationship kind of started out a little like up and down, right? Because it was like not sure, right? But my thing is like I always told her is like I'm not afraid to fail, right?
Yeah,
Like you know what I'm saying? Like in your mind, like some people are just afraid to fail, and it's like if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. I'm cool with that, but I'm gonna be here trying, right? And so she kind of caught on board with that, and now it's just like we're on a whole nother level, right? Like you know what I'm saying? Together, it's like okay, all right, but that's anything I do, right? Like skydiving, right? It's like I'm not afraid to fail now, and that if you fail, that's kind of like all right, that's your one and only shot. You know what I'm saying? But
yeah,
like the thing is I'm not afraid to fail. Like, you know what I'm saying? You got to, the two things is you can't be afraid to fail, but you also have to expect to succeed. You know what I'm saying? At the same time. Like, you know what
yeah,
I mean? Because if you don't expect to succeed, then like what the hell are you doing, right? You going into something you have like no end game, no goal or anything like that, right? It's just like, oh, I just want to try it just to try it, which is like cool. And that's what happens with people who like, oh, I just want to run a marathon, right? But cool. And they just try it, right? I just want to try it. They don't really have no expectation of succeeding and things like that. But sometimes that's where it starts also, right? You get that little piece and you're like, oh, you know what? I did this. I can do another one. Actually, I can do 30 miles. I can do 40 miles. I can do 50 miles, right? Or even if
yeah,
like you go and you do music or something like that, right? And then you go and do a show and it's successful or something like that, or you get your songs on TV and you're like, oh, actually, you know what? I really can do this, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? So sometimes
yeah,
like, you don't expect to succeed, but once you in it, you got to start expecting to succeed, right? But you can't
yeah.
be afraid to fail, like no matter what.
No, yeah, definitely. That's something that you brought up right now is like you got to have an end game too, right? So if you're expecting to start something and expect to get somewhere, you got to see it, and then you kind of go from there. It's like a step, right? You got to enjoy the journey, but transitioning from kind of identifying what your seed is, talking a little bit about like your journey, when you're doing these kind of long mile runs, right? What's something you've identified that has become like a difficult kind of task for you, right? We all know, obviously, you know, you have to be healthy as far as your nutrition and recovery. But what's something that's really that you identify that's like, oh man, damn, this is tough. I gotta fix this. What is it?
Uh, like I think one of the things I think about is like, I
And I
guess
and,
like,
and I, I'm talking about when you're running like 8 miles, like long
yeah,
long miles,
yeah.
right? So I want to come back to it, but first I just want to see what you're gonna say about it because I have something that when it comes to longevity.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. I mean, no, but now 8 miles is kind of just like, all right, you know what? I got a song idea I want to go write. Let me go run, right? And I'm just thinking about songs and stuff like that. And so, but like, uh, I would say like some days is really, really tough and difficult to run 8 miles, you know what I'm saying? And it's just like I think about like all the times that I failed, like you said earlier, and things that like didn't work out. And I think about times that like when I was younger and I didn't have that oomph and that drive. And that like is like that clicks and it turns on. It's like, nah, fuck that. We finishing this. Like, you know what I'm saying? No matter what. Like, you know what I'm saying? And then like what I start doing is like I start setting things up in my mind as I'm running, right? Like, for example, like let's set up the cadence and the pattern, right? And you can do this everywhere in life, right? It's like stride, breathing, technique. And I started thinking about it on every step. And that kind of takes my mind off like how far away I am. You know what I'm saying? And it puts me back on focus of like my stride, my breathing, and my technique. Right? So it's like a cadence. So I'll be running this like stride, breathing, technique. Stride, breathing, technique. Right? You know what I'm saying? And it takes my mind off of that. And it's like now my pace picks back up. You know what I'm saying? I feel a little bit more energetic and things like that. And it's just like, here we go. We're back on it. Right? And it's just like same thing with anything in life, right? You got to come back to the basics of what it is that you're doing, right? Like, you know?
Yeah. So the fundamentals when you're doing that stuff, right? So
Yeah.
you're looking back and you're kind of, when you're doing that stuff, something that's, you know, that, all right, here we go, you know, let's go. But in your mind, you're trying to think of something else to clear your mind, and something like just basic stuff like you're thinking about, just, you know, your body movement, right? So
Yeah.
there was somebody that worked for one of my clients a couple years ago. You know, he was an ex-Olympian, and he, you know, he goes back to the basics, right? When you're running, he's like, you ever see those kids in the park? You always see them running. Like you think they're thinking about their technique or anything like that? Like, no, they're just running, right? With joy. They're
Right.
They're like, you know, with kids and us, like, you know, for example, like I could be thinking about, oh man, like work or problems in the family or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
Look at a kid, they're not worried about that, man. They're in the moment, man. They're just running.
Right.
They're just free. So that's always something that I always look back at. And, you know, when you're doing something that's kind of like, oh man, it's gonna be tough. In this instance, your 8-mile runs or whatever it may be, you know, you just gotta just, you know, clear your mind off of whatever it may be, and just, you know, think back of when you were a kid, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd have those all the time.
Yeah, definitely, man. That's something that's like, it's a game changer.
It is.
So
It is.
let's talk about real quick, man. What's up with the music, man? So I know we talked about some stuff behind the scenes, and, you know, we definitely want to get something going, man, for next year. But let's talk about your music and where are you, and, you know, what's coming in the new year.
Man, refining myself. That's what I had to do with music, man. And like, it's something crazy that happened, and I didn't know that this was happening to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, my grandmother raised me, right? Essentially as my mother, like since I was a baby. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so when she passed away, like it was like I didn't even realize like how much that affected me, right? And it got to a point where like I couldn't even write. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I didn't realize this, right? And it was just like I was taking all this time off and stuff like that, not writing and things like that. And man, it was just like nothing was clicking either, right? It was just like, man, what's going on, right? And I just kind of like was trying. I'm writing all these songs and I'm listening to them. I'm like, this doesn't even sound right. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm writing, I'm recording, like I'm still trying, I'm still working, right? Like, but like when I say I couldn't write anything, like I couldn't write anything that was significant to me. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and it was just like, oh man. And then, man, I got with this girl last year, like, maybe around this time. No, maybe it was a little bit after, in like January-ish or whatever, right? And so I got with her, and then like the way it ended was like, it was crazy, right? But she sparked. I'm not gonna say her, but that sparked. It was like, okay, a song, right? You know what I'm saying? That song, you know, that song I sent to you, right? And it sparked that, and it was like, man, and all of a sudden it was just like this river flowing again, right? Like here it is, man. Like, oh shoot, like I think your boy is back, right?
Yo, look, it's funny, man. The key words that you're saying right now is it's funny because I wrote these down before this, you know, this podcast.
Yeah.
You know, and that's, you know, end game, and you just brought another one, and I swear to God that Ron did not see this this notepad, but the other one was spark. So we're going full circle with this, but go ahead, man, continue.
Yeah, man. And she like that sparked something in me, man. And I wrote this song, and I'm like, oh man, I hit my guy. Well, first of all, I actually, so let me break this down a little bit, because I actually wrote a freestyle back in like April-ish, May-ish when I was with her, right? And so, but I took those lines from that freestyle after and actually like just made that the chorus and then built the song around that, right?
Yeah.
Because the freestyle had nothing to do with it. It was just me freestyling, just writing, you know what I'm saying? Like testing the waters, practicing my runs. You know what I'm saying? And like the line went, I've been kind of tripped out since I left my old bay, kind of fucked up in a different headspace, checking on her gram note, seeing she ain't okay. Petty ass nigga like me, that make me feel great, right? And so then I go on the freestyle. I'm like, but now I got this new Spanish chick, got her screaming Olay. I got to give her standing ovays, right? You know, just writing, right? And then, but when like, you know, we broke up or whatever, and I'm like, I hit the studio and I was chilling, man. And I'm like, I'm listening to all these beats, and my man John Kemp, like, you heard the beat, right? I'm like, call him up on the phone. I'm like, yo, I need this beat, bruh. He's like, all right, man. Like this dude is just like so chill, and I'm so excited, right? But like his excitement, like I'm not even fucking around. Like his excitement's like, all right, yo, bet. When he's like that, you know he's excited, right? But that's just like his excitement, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm like, he's like, yo, you got something cooking up. And he got like this super deep octave, right? Yeah. Yo, you got something cooking up. And I'm like, yeah, man. Like, yo, I need this beat right now, yo. Matter of fact, I'm gonna give you the song. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want you to mix and master it for me. I got you. All right, man. I'm right on it. And like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's his excitement, bro. Like, it's crazy. So, but and I think like 2 days later, he sent it back to me, and I'm like, man, and he just wanted to do a quick little mix, right? And he like just to hear it, and I heard it, and I was like, something's missing from this, man. I'm not sure, right? You know what I'm saying? So we worked on it a couple more times, and we worked on it, and it was like changed a couple of things, and it was like, then I sent it out. I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I was like, John, hold on, man. Fuck it. Let me see what it sounds like. Let me get, you know, some crowd reviews on this.
Yeah.
I sent it out to people, and people were like, oh shit. Yo, like this song is crazy, bro. When this coming out? And I'm like, I don't even know, man. Like, I don't even know. The crazy thing is like, so me and that ex-girlfriend, we're like, we don't have any issues. We're cool, right? So I went to her. I was like, look, I got this song. I want you to listen to it. Tell me what you think. Right? And then she was like, oh shit. Like, yo, this is a dope ass song, right? And it's like, when I knew she said that,
yeah.
And you know, she knows who it's about, right? When she said that.
And just for reference, this is, can I say the name of the song or the X-Files? Okay.
The X-Files, yeah. Which is coming out here real soon, man. And when she gave a green light on it, I was like, that's a bet. That's a bet, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we got to run with this one, man. And then I started writing more, and I'm back in the studio, and I'm pulling up songs, but now I'm pulling up like so many things that I got deep inside of me over the past year. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, first I was kind of digging back years, you know what I mean? But now it's like from the past year, all this stuff. And I wrote Skinny Broke Boy, you know what I'm saying? And things like that. And it's like, you know, that's like the arrogant side of me. And I'm just like, I'm back, bruh. I'm back. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah. That's something about where I told you, man, we're going to make a music video for that, man. But I just, you know, we got to dive into it.
Yeah.
And in the near future for that one, man.
Yeah.
So, you know, when your ex approves a song that is about her, you know it's flames.
Right. Listen, man, when I tell you, like, I mean, normally there's like mixed reactions, right? When I do crowd reviews, and it's like people are like, yeah, you know, this is dope. Some people are like, I mean, it's cool, right? You know, especially it's, man, John Kemp, bro. You gotta hear this dude talk, like, because I mean, like, I've sent him songs before, and he's like, yeah, that's cool. You know what I'm saying? That's all right? And it's like, but you got to know him to tell the difference between his excitement, right? And I sent him X-Files, and he's like, oh yeah, that's a dope song. Like, right? Like, and I'm like, okay. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm excited, bro. Like, you know what I mean? So it's, you know, when you get his octave to come up a little bit, like, you know, that's when you know you got him excited. You know what I'm saying? So
what's going to be the next and latest track that Ron is going to release?
I think, man, I think X-Files might lead the way. I was literally just talking to you know, Camp about that today, man. Like literally, because I'm like, you know, I actually wanted him to do a song on this, a piece on this song called 20,000 Leagues, because I talk about his octave, right? Like super low. And like, and I'm I'm like, yeah, man, I want you to do this. But and he was like, all right, well, we was talking about like strategizing how to release these songs, right? You know what I'm saying? And I was like, I think I want to do like I might lead with the X-Files and you know what I'm saying? But I was like,
Yeah.
but if not, I might lead with Real Love Part 2, you know what I'm saying? Because Real Love Part 2 is more of what people know of me, right? Like kind of the
Oh
old
yeah.
school vibe, right?
Yeah.
Like that
That's that
old
city.
school,
That city of love right there,
yeah,
man.
that City of Love vibe, right? You know what I'm saying? But and
But
it's like if
you always have these like these side tracks that you release, and
yeah.
it could be a freestyle, but it could also be one of those like those X tracks, right? It's like
Yeah, yeah.
it's and
Yeah.
I mean the one you sent me, the other one is definitely like from your album City of Love. It definitely has that old school kind of touch. But
Yeah.
then just like the other track you had when you showed me Colombian Girl, it's kind of
Oh.
like it's like one of those where it's like,
Yeah.
oh damn, Ron got this in him. All right, all right.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I don't know, man. Music is just like I don't even know, man, but like we got some good tracks and we got some stuff that we could be like we can pick and choose what we want to do, right? There's not like
Yeah,
man, nah, I don't think this is going to work. Like we was listening to like, you know what I'm saying? Like he really digs 20,000 Leagues, right? Like that's one that he digs, right? And that's why I was like, man, you got to get on this one. You got to get on. Like and I can't wait for you to hear like this guy's like vocals, man. Like it is crazy. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like if you think about the Temptations, like the one dude that had the super deep voice in like Silent
yeah,
Night, you know what I'm talking about?
yeah, yeah.
And but yeah, man, like that's him, man. But I've been working with him a lot this year too, man. And he was like, he had a lot to do with the comeback too, right, man? Because he's like I like because I was working with an older sound engineer, and I kind of don't work with him no more, man, because like it's kind of like where it's like it's all right. Well, I'm gonna do this, and then once I do this, then it's like nah, forget it, right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Versus Kemp, man, he's sort of like, listen, he's like, send me a blank track, just you like, you know what I'm saying, like with your vocals and everything broken down, and let me see what I can give it, right? As a sound engineer. And then he'll do that. And what it does is it gives me ideas because I didn't even think about some stuff. And I'm like, oh, snap. I like what you did there. You know what I'm saying? And we can build
Yeah.
upon that, right? So I think because I mean I teamed up with him before on a track a few years ago, Love in the Club. That's actually when I got on TV on USA Network. And
Oh yeah, congrats on that too.
that was another big moment of the year too, man. Like that was huge. But yeah, man. But getting to work with him like more frequently now, man, and just his ideas and his way of thinking, man, it's like I feel like that's another part, and that makes me grow, right? Because like he like hearing him hear things, right? You know what I'm saying? Versus like, cause he's not like, he's a producer, like you know what I'm saying? Like a producer. He's not just a sound engineer, right? So now it's not like I'm just going to, a beat maker to get the beat, you know what I'm saying? Bringing it to the studio. I make the song, like, you know what I'm saying? I'll put the lyrics and the vocals on it, right? And then take it to the sound engineer. And I got to tell the sound engineer, hey, chop it up here, move this here, do this. Like I'm my own producer, right? Like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Now I got Camp who's like, yo, actually, maybe we should throw this here. Maybe you should say this like this, or maybe you should do this like this. And it makes things, I'm telling you, man, it makes things so much different, right? So like with the X-Files, I'm like, man, something is missing in this song. And like,
So
we sat there and we both thought about it like, okay, and we like brainstormed. All right, cool. And we added like little pieces to it. And it's like, once the little pieces were in, it was like, no major changes. It was like, damn, this actually makes a big ass difference in the song, right? So,
yeah, it's the
yeah.
little details, man, and somebody that also obviously knows what they're doing, and they put in a little more into the kitchen, then you get a bomb ass meal.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I mean. Like, I mean, I like this dude. Like, I'm excited to work with this dude, man. And so, like, you know what I mean? It's like, and he does like he makes some dope ass beats too, man. And like he don't use a lot of samples and things like that. Like he's all like, you know what I'm saying? He's in the kitchen cooking it from scratch, right? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he puts his own ingredients, and he makes something that's custom made specifically for you.
Yeah, right. And that's the thing, man. He's like he's so good at it, man. Like he's I mean, like he has thousands of beats in the library, right? And that's the crazy part is that I actually went to his library and got that beat particular for the X Files because I heard it and I was like, nope, got to use this one. But now it's like the feedback and the, you know what I'm saying, just the, I guess like the conversation piece while making the song versus because I go back and I listen to City of Love and I'm like, damn, that song could have been so much better. It's a dope song regardless, right? But it's like that could have been so much better, right? I go back and I listen to Circles and I'm like, man, I could have done this here and I could have done that there, right? Like, but it's a dope song, right? And so, but now you actually have somebody in the studio with you because like, who knows what they're doing? Because at the end of the day, like I still send my songs out to like 5 people who I'm like, check this out. Tell me what you think. The X Files, a lot of people listen to that, right? Because I just want to get like a crowd review. But like my 5, and they're like, I mean, they give me feedback, right? But not like, you know, sometimes it's just like you get this battle of for the one of the people who's a, you know what I'm saying, like it's a person at Atrium Music, right? And he's like, well, you know, I don't know if this is this way and that way, right? Maybe you should do it this way. And it's like, but nah, man, like why? Right? Versus like what is the point of doing this? Right? You know what I'm saying? And he's just like, well, and because it's like, well, certain rules. And I'm like, there's no rules in hip hop. I don't even know if there's rules in pop anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like there are people up here blowing up off of songs whose songs are so like unorthodox, right? They still follow the basics, right? Like, you know what I mean? And things like that. But like, you know, like one of the things that they said about the X Files, and I was like, nah. Like now it's like, okay, nah, y'all just talking, right? I like when I cut off the switch, it's like, well, the song is kind of, you know, it doesn't really have any changes in it. I'm like, what? And it's like, yeah, well, you know, it sounds the same way the entire way through, and you know, and I'm like, all right, first of all, timeout. Number one, literally, Drake does that all the time, right? And literally has hits on hits on hits, where songs that he literally doesn't change no way about it at all, right? Like the cadence and everything. If you think about God's plan, God's plans, God's plan. It's like dun 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 dun, and he does that the whole way through the song, right? Key, do you love me? Right? All his hits, like you hear him, like he does that. But in mine, that song, I don't even do that. Like I actually change up the tone, come up and go down, and things like that. And it's just like, nah, man, y'all trying to make it too perfect. And I think when you try to make something too perfect, you start losing the essence in it, you know?
No, yeah, for sure, man. And I'm excited to, you know, for the new music. And like I said, man, we're excited to get something cooking next year, man. But, you know, as we're wrapping up here, Ron, what's something that you want to tell your audience and your, you know, that's, you know, looking forward to your new music, man? What's coming out?
I mean, you can expect definitely growth in my music, right? Like there's gonna be it's just a new different style, a new energy and things like that, right? You still get the old Ron A.P, right? You still get me, but you get like a, you know what I'm saying, a better version, like a growner version, right? I guess if you say that, growner, that's a real word. Like, you know what I mean? So like you can look forward to me, but also like, you know, for all my fans that actually like follow me all the time and that follow my music, that follow my workouts and things like that, man. Like I want you to be inspired by what I do, and I want you to start doing what you do, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, like, cause I get people that, you know, that message me all the time, like, yo, man, you inspired me to work out today, or, you know what I'm saying? You inspired me to try to skydive, or you inspired me to do this or that. And I'm like, I don't even real like, I'm out here just doing that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because like, I'm out here trying to face fears and just like trying new things, but like trying to be like everything that I can be. But I didn't realize the effect that I'm actually having on people. And my little, I don't know, 1,600 followers, whatever it is, like not to say little, but like I appreciate all the people that follow me, but that's like huge when people do that, right? So like if I'm inspiring you, my message to everybody else is like, you go out there and you inspire somebody else. You know what I'm saying? That way we can have like this circle of inspiration, right? Bring that back around. This is like too much circle of hate and too much circle of like criticism on Instagram and social media, right? Versus like the circle of inspiration, right? Like, you know what I mean?
No, yeah, man. That's well said, man. We always got to motivate each other instead of bring everybody down, man. But, you know, I'm excited, Ron. I'm excited. And, you know, when we're always changing and adapting, man, it's always good. It's always good, man. Like, you know, people are always afraid of change and they're always like, oh, you know, you know, I don't want to be different. But in this case, man, we gotta change, man. If you're not changing, then you're staying the same, you're not
Yeah.
gonna grow, man. So,
Yeah.
all right, Ron,
Well,
man, I'm just next time you come on this podcast, bro, we're gonna do it live, man, and we're gonna do a little snippet freestyle
oh,
from
come on.
LA.
You don't want that, man. Oh, man. Why you don't
Let's
want that? I'm going to
go.
give it to y'all. I'm going to give it to y'all. Definitely. When's the
All
next
right.
one? When's the next one?
I mean, we gotta identify that, man. We gotta identify that, and I think you're gonna have to come down over there to LA, man. We're gonna have to do one live, and we'll probably get a freestyle with your boy with that new beat.
Oh, you talking about the X? You want it on the X Files?
Whatever you got, man.
Man, whatever you want, man. I can give it to you. Whatever you want, man. However you want it. You know what I'm saying?
Let's
let
go.
Let me leave you with a quick anecdote real fast though, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? So cause it's crazy, right? Like everybody, a lot of people, not everybody, but a lot of people like they reach out and they be calling me like Ronald Goggins, right? Like, like David Goggins, the runner.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? The crazy dude. But people don't realize that like he actually like in real life, like I actually got to work with this dude, like, you know what I'm saying? And real quick, because it's like the close on the seeds of motivation, right? So right before I went back to, because I actually failed out of training once, right? And I was going back. I had to wait a little bit to go back. I had to go over to like the Naval Special Warfare Center, right? Before I was going back and I started training and David Goggins was there, a guy named Chief Walker. And there was a lady, her name was Janice, and she like taught me how to swim better and stuff like that, right? And so, man, I remember like before I went back, I was working with Goggins for about like 6 months, right? And like before I went back, like he was telling me like I'm giving you the lighter version of him, but this dude in real life is like insane, right? And this is before he was like super huge on Instagram, right? And everybody knows who he is, right? You know what I'm saying? Well, I mean, I feel like everybody knew who he was back then, but like before everybody knew that crazy David Goggins, right?
Yeah.
And I remember, man, he's like, yeah, you're too fat. You know what I'm saying? Like you need to basically, here's how you need to eat. Boom. Here's how you need to run. Boom. Right. And stuff like that. No holds bar. Right. And I remember, man, like, he would just come in from time to time and just like, help with like the training sessions with Janice. Like she would train multiple people. Right. But like he would come in and help, quote unquote. I actually hated when he came and helped because like his help was a little bit demonic, if you will. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like pushing you to another level and things like that. But I remember, man, I felt out of SWIC training, man. And I'm like, man, I went up into the, Naval Special Warfare office. I was in tears and everything, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? How was that at the time? 23, 24, something like that. But, and I'm up in here, man, I'm in tears and things like that, man. And I'm like, like I'm telling him like, yo, I'm sorry. I know y'all put all this work into me. You know what I'm saying? And David Goggins straight up in David Goggins fashion was like, hey man, don't be a bitch about it. Right. I think he's like about to say like, but not like the words that came next. He's like, the thing is like, you put all your effort, you tried your hardest. Right. But he was like, but here's the thing. He was like, you did that here, but watch what's going to happen to you in life when you keep doing the same thing. Right. Like, you know what I mean? And he was like that, when he put that into my mind, it was just like, oh man. And then like to come back years later and just like, everybody's like, oh shit, David Goggins. And I'm like, I actually like got to work with this dude and like, you know what I'm saying? Hear words from him directly from his mouth. Like, it's like, it's crazy, man. It's just, yeah, man. So like what yeah, man, you never know, man. You never know who's going to inspire you in life and like what those words are going to do to you. And just like, you know what I'm saying? How you going to hang on to them for the rest of your life? Like,
No, yeah, for sure. And that goes all back to the seed of motivation, man. That's a good way to end it, man. And, we're going to continue to chat, in the next couple of months. And, I'm excited to share with you what me and Ron be cooking up in the next couple months. But with that, thanks, Ron, for stopping by. And you already know, man, this is your home. And, look forward to see what we cook up in the, next couple months, man. Let's go.
For sure. All right, man.
All right, guys. See you guys next time. Would you like to be on the podcast? Got something to talk about? Make sure to head over to the website at hardwoodrod.com. Leave your name and the topic you'd like to discuss, and I'll add you to the calendar.